Visit AnyExpat for relocation assistance.
It's Saturday morning in Italy, and you're listening to the Magic Towns Italy podcast.
How are you, Anna?
I'm good. What about you?
I am doing great. It's really good to see you for the last episode before Christmas. We're going to take a couple of weeks of well-deserved break.
And today we're diving into one of the most interesting topics for remote workers and expats, which is Italy's new digital nomad visa.
Yes, I'm so excited about that. And I know you're excited about it too, because you've been covering it assiduously for a couple of months now, haven't you?
And I'm sure lots of people are interested as well.
The digital nomads visa has been in the works for a while, and finally it's live. The Italian government started talking about it a couple of years ago, but as it happens in Italy, it only took off in May or June. Can we talk a little bit about what it really takes to get it?
The good thing is that it's absolutely doable. Let's break down what the visa is, who it's for, and what the real world requirements look like.
The digital nomad visa, like other digital nomad visas in Europe, like the Portuguese one is probably the best known one, is aimed at non-European citizens who work remotely, either as freelancers or the business owners or the employees of foreign companies. It is valid for 1 year, it is renewable, and it lets you live legally in Italy while earning money from companies and customers based abroad.
Exactly. So there are two broad tracks: the remote worker visa, if you're employed by a company, and then digital nomad visa, if you're employed or if you're self-employed or freelance. The paperwork changes slightly depending on which route you're taking, but the general principles, let's say, are the same.
Talking about what you need to qualify for the DNV, as we call it, income. You need to show earnings of at least 28,000 euro per year, which is the legal minimum.
But realistically, successful applicants tend to earn quite a bit more. So based on real cases, most approval came in the 43,000, 80,000 range.
And income alone is not enough for you to get the visa. You need to prove that you have financial stability historically with things like tax returns, bank statements, client contracts.
And a pro tip is to create an explanatory note in Italian. So this is like a financial cover letter.
Now, paperwork-wise, as we said, you need 2 to 5 years of tax returns, 6 to 12 months worth of bank statements, a lease or registered housing contract, and we're going to get back on that point because it's a bit of a sticky point in a second, a private health insurance policy, a degree or proof of professional experience for the sector you're applying in, and don't be discouraged, sworn translations in Italian for a lot of these documents.
So you need to prove you've got a place lined up before you even apply. So 12-month lease registered with the Agenzia delle Entrate is the safest bet.
You are an expert in this topic. You also wrote an article this week, Anna, about how tricky it is to get these 12-month leases. So listeners can go to magictowns.it and read it. It is very, very interesting. It is true that for this particular type of visa, some consulates accept Airbnb medium-term rentals. So when in doubt, go for a 12-month registered lease.
And people often ask, like, how much is this going to cost me? So let's be honest, it's not cheap, but it's not outrageous either.
The visa itself only costs 116 euro, let's say 130 US dollars. But the paperwork that goes with it and the translations, notarizations, accommodation deposits, insurance, and lawyers' fees can add up. So figure out between 3,000 to 6,000 euro between one thing and the other. And of course, if you want professional help, you should add another 1,000 to 3,000 euro for a consultant. All that being said, we have a relationship with a consultant that works at the lower end of that range. So feel free to get in touch if you'd like an introduction. Assuming that you got your visa, what happens after you arrive? You land in Italy and you must, within 8 working days, apply for a permesso di soggiorno, your residency permit.
which means a trip to your local questura. So they might ask for additional translations or documentation. So don't throw anything away.
No, bring that stack of paperwork with you. You also must watch out for tax residency rules. If you become a tax resident, you have to pay tax in Italy, like most countries, to be fair. The general rule is that 183 days in a calendar year will trigger tax residency. So if you arrive in, say, July, you probably won't be a tax resident for that year. But from the following January, Italy will want to tax a slice of your income.
So definitely speak to a commercialista, which is a tax consultant who understands international taxation. It's not always straightforward.
Yeah, is it ever straightforward in Italy? No, I'm joking. This is one of the easier things if a professional looks after you.
Yeah.
We have talked to a whole bunch of digital nomads, and in fact, we have a little interview lined up as a segment of this podcast. From talking to all these digital nomads, Anna, what did you find the main hurdles they have faced to be?
So language is a big one. A lot of official documents must be translated into Italian, as we said before, and communication with consulates is nearly always in Italian.
And what about accommodation? We touched on it briefly.
The problem is that landlords want to see your visa, but you need the lease to get the visa. So it helps to work with relocation services or Airbnb hosts to understand the process.
There is this saying doing the rounds in expat circles that Italians are legally not allowed to rent to you unless you have a visa, but this is absolutely not true. You just need to explain your situation a little bit clearly to your prospective landlord or landlady. So, all things considered, is it worth it?
Yeah, if you're ready to put in the work. This digital nomad visa gives you a real legal foothold in Italy with a path to renewal and maybe even permanent residency later.
Yeah, and people on a digital nomad visa can bring in dependents once they move in. So if you want to bring in your spouse or your children, it would allow you to do that too. So that's a piece of good news. Just make sure you're prepared, be patient, and get comfortable with the Italian bureaucracy. It's like a starter of the Italian bureaucracy you get after you move in.
But guys, it's absolutely worth it if your dream is to live in a small town in Umbria, Abruzzo, or a beachside town in Puglia.
And you can
And
still
it's
keep your career going.
exactly.
So it would be remiss of me to not mention at this point that if you're not sure where to settle in Italy, you can check out our Town Explorer on magic.towns.it, which covers more than 1,500 towns in Italy and has hundreds of data points for each one of these. No one else has anything like this. I sometimes struggle to explain to people what it is, but then when they use it, they'll be like, wow. So, end of promotional break. I think, Anna, it would be really good and timely if we brought in a few sound bites now of the conversation we had with one of our favorite digital nomads so far. Shall we?
Absolutely.
So without further ado, here are our top 10 minutes of conversation with Rian Furi, who had a lot of interesting stuff to tell us about his experience at the digital nomad village in Tursi, Basilicata, a beautiful, quaint little town where he found a lot more than he expected. How long has your career as a digital nomad been?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. What do you define as a digital nomad? 'Cause I started my travels in country, so in South Africa, and that was probably 2019. The path was not as walked for the digital nomads, not that much going on. So it was quite scary. But I'd say outside of South Africa, traveling different country every month, about 3.5, 4 years now.
Had you been to Italy before going to Tursi?
Yeah, this is actually my second time in Italy.
What was your experience like?
Incredible. I mean, the first experience, we were in the northwest of Sicily, a little island called Ustica. We started on a boat there and then traveled all the islands, the Ionian Islands, and then made our way all the way around to Mount Etna and then across to Greece. Incredible experience. I really love Sicily, and it was interesting to see the contrast between, let's say, Sicily and like Tursi. Very different.
It wasn't really an Italian crowd, was it? Was it an international crowd? I
Mostly, yeah, mostly international. Not too many Italians.
How did you feel about Sicily?
It's absolutely beautiful. The food is incredible. The beaches were very beautiful. I really enjoyed the marina life that you can have there. So you're just hopping from one marina to another. It's very well set up for that. Definitely would go back. We never ventured too far inland. Like we visited all the tiny coastal towns. I see why you Italians are always so fit and healthy, because you have to walk up hills every single day.
It depends where you are in Italy. Tursi fits that bill, right?
I think I got 15,000 steps on a slow day in Tursi.
And how did you end up in Tursi for the co-living week?
I had 3 months to plan in Europe, and I saw this Facebook post that spoke about Tursi. And I was like, oh, co-livings, I'm not so sure if I'm really keen for this. And I just remember seeing Salva and Maria, and I was like, this whole idea that they're selling, it's really cute. They've got this little village, very authentic living, and that's what hooked me. It was that like authentic small village experience in Italy, and I was like, okay, let's try this. Do not give me a recommendation to go to Paris and see the Eiffel Tower. I want to see things in Paris that are off the beaten track. Like I've seen so many monuments, you've seen so many museums. At some point, it becomes all the same. So you want to see something different, and that's what Tursi was to me. It was different. It was authentic, and yeah. After speaking to them, I was like, wow, let's do this.
One of the big selling points is the fact that they try to build a little bit of a link between the nomads, who are sometimes a bit aloof, and the locals. Do you have that experience? Did you feel that?
Absolutely. I think the fact that they made effort to take us to all the local restaurants, to speak to a lot of people, to have workshops where they would include some of the local kids.
Do you normally choose to go to structured villages or structured experiences, or do you like to go solo as well?
It depends on my mindset. I'd say both. So right now I'm in a co-living space, which has got 27 rooms. You've got a co-working space inside the co-living, laundry sorted for you. There's a gym. They constantly have little events happening. I love that when I want to focus and work. When I'm on holiday, so not really holiday, but just not working that hard, I way prefer to do my own thing, to go off the path, I will rent a motorbike, put my laptop on the back, and just go. And every day is a new experience. Like for me, that's the real experience where you just really go with the flow, and every day is a new experience.
So when you were in southern Italy, were you in holiday mode or semi-holiday mode or 12 hours a day?
I was very much in holiday mode. I could really immerse myself in the nomad scene, like in the village, like doing ketogenic diet, so no carbs, eggs and steak. Luckily, southern Italy has good meat. I would wake up, go for my first training session of the day, have a good breakfast, head up to the co-working station, where I'm sure you guys know was up in the cathedral, which is really beautiful. Spend some time working, stay up there for like a sunset. And I love to fly drones. So got some really beautiful videos of Tursi, especially like when the sun is setting, you got that golden hour. I would then go for a second training session and join the evening activities. So whatever was happening on the evening, be it the pasta workshops or pizza making workshops, I would join those.
You mentioned keto. Sometimes keto is jokingly referred to as the princess diet because of the cost of getting all the protein. How do you find the cost of living compared to your expectation?
Honestly, much lower than I expected. Yeah. No, I mean, the butchers were incredibly good. It was very, very affordable, I would say, especially compared to the rest of Europe. In Paris, or let's say Berlin, or wherever you're going to be traveling, things are going to be expensive because you're in the tourist hub. But because Turkey is not a tourist hub, people are there to live a day-to-day life. I found it quite affordable.
Did you find yourself welcomed by the local community?
Oh, absolutely. So many conversations, broken English, broken Italian conversations where we can barely communicate, but they are just so welcoming. So
you can do a lot with your hands, right?
Exactly. Luckily, you don't need to speak. I remember just walking up the mountain there once, and there was this old man with this very, very cute dog. and he would just try and invite us into his house for drinks and offer us beer. And he was just so happy that someone else also wanted to play with his dog. Small little interactions like that.
You felt like people were genuinely appreciating the fact that you guys were bringing something, or at least liking where they live, I imagine.
From my understanding, they were very happy to have us there, and they showed it.
I think that that's the beauty of being a digital nomad, that you can choose between the flexibility of traveling around and working, but at the same time choosing to settle and live, let's say, a different life for a while. You can say that you've lived in Italy. It's as if you were living different lives. That's beautiful.
I read a post the other day which kind of spoke about this, where a lot of people travel to a location and they just travel there for their own enjoyment, just to consume and take in what's there, and then they leave. But they never integrate, they never immerse themselves into the local population, they never speak to the people. And that for me is the way I prefer to travel, is to try and actually speak to the people and see what it's about. Like, you can say you've been to Italy, but have you ever eaten in an Italian's home? That's the beauty of this 2C project. Like I must say, the place where I'm staying in now, it's very nice, but I mean, everybody here speaks perfect English. We're not really doing much effort to be integrated into the Thai community, or speak to the Thai people.
Are you planning to go back to Italy at some point?
Absolutely. Even if it's just to see Salva and Maria. I made a few friends, maybe 2, 3 friends that I still keep contact with, but top of that list are those 2.
It's a great endorsement.
I grew up in Cape Town, which is considered a big city in South Africa, but not that big by international standards. But I've always been a small town guy. I like connecting with people. I prefer to take life a little bit slower. And big cities, there's just not much for me in a big city. So yeah, for me, definitely prefer smaller towns, or like close to nature is really more the requirement. And the people you meet in small towns are also all different, completely different to people you meet in cities.
Yeah, they are surprised by your presence and more likely to engage.
And they're always
Especially-
super friendly. The interactions you get in these villages, like you just go to buy a sandwich and the guy invites you to his wedding, like.
And what are for you the pros and cons of living a digital nomad life?
Oh, big question. I mean, the pros are, the lifestyle is amazing. You can go anywhere, you can do anything. That amount of agency you have over your life. So if you have high agency, you have a lot of choices in life. So what I mean, like, is you are able to choose the country you want to live in. If I don't like this place, I'll just go. So having like high agency, being able to just make a choice and act on it, that is really very cool for me. The cons are interesting. You get very lonely, I would say, if you don't really put effort into friendships. And co-livings help a lot, like especially this Boozy project, it helped a lot because you were with the same friends for 5, 6 weeks. That makes a big difference.
You're working, but at the same time, you're living, because you're seeing lots of places that many people are waiting to see just once or twice.
South Africans, we have to do the Schengen visa, which
Okay.
is really annoying. And it's only like 3 months per 6 months. So you can stay in Europe for half a year, but you have to leave the whole time. So you can come in and then you have to leave. That's why this digital nomad visa is super interesting, because now you actually have the opportunity to stay in a European country. And initially it wasn't all the cool countries. Like, I would love to stay in Italy. And then, I mean, another thing is that for me, it's really nice because it gives you some form of a residency. It helps you with taxes, basically. So it helps you to prove to your home country that, hey, I'm actually in this country, I'm actually paying tax. Where's your financial residency? So these digital nomad visas are really, really useful for that as well.
Yeah, because how does it work? Like in Thailand, for example, if you're staying for 3 months, how does it work for the taxes?
If you stay 3 months, it's not a problem. But if you stay longer, it can become a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quicker compared to other routes just to find a job in the country that it's absolutely difficult and all these things. It's beautiful that the government like decided to do this thing.
It shows that they're actually like progressive and thinking forward to say, hey, there's this big demand. Are we gonna stay a bureaucracy and not adapt, or are we actually gonna adapt and move towards these? Because initially it was just like some of the lower income countries that offered this as like,
Mhm.
we want to get people in. This is another way to get people in. But now everybody's seeing the opportunity. And like, okay, well, we can actually like have more nomads, have more people. I'm very much strongly considering going to Italy on this visa.
If you need support, we are here. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story and your thoughts.
Anna, thanks so much. I really appreciate the time as well.
So, Anna, that was interesting.
It definitely was.
And to find such an amazing experience in a tiny little town is something you might not expect. So I hope that some of our listeners will consider looking up the Turse Digital Nomad Village, and perhaps they can be there for the next pop-up event, which I believe is going to be in the spring of 2026.
A great time to breathe some authentic Italian energy.
Talking about authentic Italian energy, I think it's time for us to go and enjoy our last weekend before Christmas. I assume we both have a lot of cooking to do, right, Anna?
That's what I was thinking about.
What's going to be on your Christmas lunch table?
I'll definitely do the antipasti, guys.
Do we know what they're going to be, or are you going to keep us on tenterhooks? You're still
Actually,
thinking
still
about
think
it.
this- Yeah, yeah. Something with gorgonzola, by the way.
Okay. I see that there's a trip to the supermarket coming up for you.
Yeah.
As for myself, I shall see what my mom is going to cook for me. You know, it's Christmas. I'm going to let her do all the cooking. In which case, I am going to wish you the best of Christmases, and we are going to be back with our podcast in the first week of 2026.
Visit AnyExpat for relocation assistance. Don't forget to like and subscribe.